Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cash. It's how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp. When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
What's up, YouTube? Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Glory praise to the Most High. Happy Tuesday. Hope all is well with everybody. Wednesday is right around the corner. Shout out to my poets, my writers, my content creators. Let me go ahead and get this out the way before I forget it. Bring that up there. Bring that up there. To anybody who wants to show up, questions, comments, topic ideas, everything's right there at the bottom. This is a serious one. Well, all of them are serious. But I kind of felt obliged to bring this up because a lot of us, from our decision making to the way we spend money to the way that we date and deal with life, is from the perspective of a poor person. And I wanted to kind of touch on that tonight. So let me bring Sydney up. And y'all do me a solid, make sure you repost, share, let the people know if you're on. Go show some love to her. Sydney, what's up?
Hello. No Jason today?
No, Jason is on a different journey right now, so he's going to be popping in every so often.
I always look forward to his fun critiques of the world.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about mentioning that. He's been working on some things, as you already know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of required more of his attention, so.
That's understandable. Well, I'm excited for the topic. This is definitely one of the things that I think about a lot. I obviously, as everyone knows, I love natural disasters. I love psychology. but one of my secret interests is economic success and finances and stuff like that, because finances says a lot about how society is doing, how people are doing. It's very closely intertwined with our inner personal being. So it's people definitely underestimate how important it is to have a healthy financial mindset. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah. Look around you, your neighborhood, the way that the communities are set up. Who's having all these kids out of wedlock, successful
Without being prepared.
Right. Social media flashing money that you don't have, living beyond your means, et cetera, et cetera.
Financing everything, including burgers at McDonald's.
Exactly. Let's start here. To you, what does poor man mindset mean to you? What does that look like to you?
In a nutshell, poor man's mindset is thinking that you can buy yourself success. That all you have to do is spend the money to buy what rich people have, and then you can have the life that rich people have. And that's a huge fallacy, because when you see rich people walking around with all this stuff that they have that because a lot of them are making thousands of dollars a month, a day, even some of them a minute. So it's very easy for them to throw their money at things without noticing a dent in their income. And also, people don't, I forgot, there's a term for it in psychology where you, when you haven't completed something, you focus more on the negatives, but when you have completed on something, you see more of the positives. And people have that looking at other people's lives, where when they see something they want, they assume that it's all good. Like if they're going to be rich, it's going to be this wonderful experience, pleasure. Their life is going to be full of pleasure, and they're going to be stress-free, and it's just going to be this magical, beautiful world of having whatever you want. But they don't realize how much work it actually takes to get there. You don't get there by buying your way there. And so that's really the poverty mindset, is not understanding that to make money, you have to work really hard. You have to invest your time into it. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, because most of the richest people in the world are building companies. They're on screens like TV or movies. They are inventors. They are potentially artists of some kind. And so you have to be willing to be out there and be vulnerable and vouch for yourself. So yeah, a lot of people haven't really figured that out yet, that you can't just wish your way into that lifestyle.
Yeah. Also, I want to add on that. When you're trained to look at life a certain way, and you see a culture as a whole, all they celebrate is death and destruction and chaos and confusion, but you turn it into something that's like a prize, like what you'll call a what's the word? What you'll call something to celebrate. I wouldn't look at it like that. I'm thinking to myself, this is the bare minimum. Either it's the bare minimum or it's actually sad.
I know what you mean. That makes me think of those like extravagant parties that people hold for no reason. Like they throw these $1,000 price tag parties for their like 1-year-old. It's like you're putting all this energy into celebrating things that, I mean, really could just use a simple, enjoyable, like, let's relish in the moment type of experience rather than like, who needs 100 guests at a 1-year-old's birthday?
That and having all of this premarital coitus with random strangers, and I'm talking like men and women in general. Like if you live in a specific area, and if you live in a specific area and all you know is drugs and this, that, and the third, and nobody's really showing you, look, man, there's consequences to having all of these kids over and over and over and over again. You're really not helping your community at all. You're not really building a stable foundation for them nor yourself. You're making it a little more difficult versus if you go to, I don't know, Korea or one of these other foreign countries. They are real like tight knit with how you develop your kids. They don't just sit up here and go from guy to guy or woman to woman. They follow traditions. They have things that they honor and they uphold. But I notice a lot that people are just kind of, especially over here in the West, they're just reckless. They don't really care about the cons and consequences that comes with just being out here randomly laying it down with everybody that they come across. And then when you end up on Section 8 and you can't afford to pay bills and you wondering where this person is and that person is, and you got to constantly be in court over and over and over again. I think that attitude is an issue too, a huge issue. It's like, how do you not understand that this is not the way whatsoever? It just doesn't make no sense to me. I'm living in a area that has the property value has drastically dropped. It's not safe for anyone. You're trashing your community. The people that live there don't care about it. But you want to continue to procreate with people like that. And you want to continue to raise people in this. I would have thought that the idea or the goal was to get out of that situation so that you would give your loved ones a better chance at a healthier life. So you don't know how excuse me, you don't know how to manage money because you don't even know how to manage yourself. You can't take care of yourself because you can't even. It's weird to me. And I made a post. Well, it was a response to a post because the guy was, man, he one of them dudes that he got a huge audience, a huge fan base. And he was kind of talking about how a person with fake jewelry is insignificant and corny and this, that, and the third. And my response was, that jewelry that you celebrating and glorifying has gotten people killed. It's gotten people locked up. It's gotten people set up. What you're telling people is to be vain and to be superficial. What are the pros and cons to having a $50,000 chain or a watch? What's the benefit to having a necklace that cost my house? Tell me, how does that help college? How does that get them through all their courses and buy books and I mean, tell me where all of your stuff benefit the community and other people outside of yourself, just wanting to look good and show off.
When did your Louis Vuitton bag ever do your dishes or clean your house for you or go out and earn an income for you? Yet people pay as much as rent for these purses. These purses can be thousands of dollars, and people put themselves into debt just because they have a label that says that they're worth that much, even though it only costs like $40 to $80 to make any of those bags.
Don't make no sense. None. That's, you know why you're so miserable and why you're so bitter and angry and upset. It ain't got nothing to do with me or Sydney or anybody else. It's your fault. You got to look at yourself in the mirror.
I remember one of my psych teachers said, if you ever feel uncomfortable with another person, it's because of something in your life that is making you feel uncomfortable. It's not the person, it's yourself. And I think that's also a component overall to this whole thing, is that people don't have any insight. They don't pay attention to their feelings, to their habits, to their patterns. And that's a huge component of breaking any habit in general, but especially shopping, because you have to understand exactly why you are shopping at the moment you're going to pay money for something. Because there are very, very, very few things that are actually necessities in life, like food and your bills for water and heat and stuff like that. And a bed to sleep on and stuff to put your food in and stuff like that. But other than that, pretty much everything else is extraneous. You don't need to collect books. You don't need to collect furniture. You don't need to collect lamps and sculptures and purses and clothing and shoes and dolls and all sorts of stuff that people will spend endless money on. And we've gotten to the point where it's so bad that we have social media influencers raking in money just by buying crap they're never going to finish using. They just buy sheer quantities of these things. I just watched a compilation of overconsumption videos, and this one girl bought over 100 hair clips for herself, and she gives them baths and like a spa treatment. I'm like, I don't even want to know how much that cost you. Usually when you go to the store, the cheapest clips are like $2 to $5. And if she has over 100, she's spending $200 to $500 on hair clips. She's probably never going to use them all ever. She probably has like 2 favorites that she uses most of the time. But there are people that are preying on these poor mindset individuals by enticing them to, like, they all have sponsors, they all have the products that they're promoting, and they have all the, oh, I bought this, there's a link in my description. Oh, I bought this too, there's a link in my description. You can find everything on my page. You can buy all of the products I ever buy, and you can find them on my page. And these are contributing to that issue because they're promoting this, like, look at my right angles, everything is in white, everything's matching, everything's perfect and sparkling house. And you could have this. You just have to buy all of these things. And that's not how it works. I promise. Especially if you have kids, that is not how it works.
You spend all that money, and then you end up scrambling trying to pay your rent. You got to call
wonder
me.
why you're like thousands of dollars in debt all the time.
Exactly. Hey, such and such, how you been? It's been a while since we talked. You good? Yeah, man. Good times. Hey, now that I got you on the phone, I'm gonna need to borrow, if you don't mind. I might need to borrow a couple. What's a couple? Oh, it ain't that much. $200. I'll pay you back as soon as I get my check. You know, you ain't talked to these people in months. they reach out to you and need something from you. Then when you go to give them the money, if you decide to help them, everything they got on is a car note. $700, $800 on your feet, on your back. You borrowing money from me. Right, make that make sense.
And you have to add in the payday loan people, the ones that are going in to these payday scammers. They're everywhere, but they are scamming you. If you are using payday loans, the interest is 3,000% interest. I've heard of some like 500, 600, 700% interest, even over thousands of percent interest. And like, for example, this one person got $100 or $150, and she was late on the payment. And weeks or months after that had happened, she owed them like $10,000 or something like that by that point because of all the interest. It's I feel so bad for anybody that needs to be in that cycle because of what they're going through. But I have heard that it is incredibly hard to get out of that cycle because of how vicious they are with their charges and their fees and interest and everything like that. And that's the sad thing with debt is a lot of people are relying on this. Oh, I'm going to declare bankruptcy and whatever, trash my credit. But you basically kind of have to start over. Honestly, it's better off if you adjust your habits slowly and start chipping away at the debt. I know it seems like I've been in debt before. I've been in it wasn't over 10,000, but it was still for me, for my income, it was a lot of debt, and it seemed really overwhelming at the time. I'm like, how am I supposed to pay this off? Like, how does anybody? But I realized that it really is incremental. Like, it's okay, I just got this money, I'm going to immediately put $50 towards it. Even if I don't owe anything on it right now, I'm going to put a small amount of money on it. Every time you get money, put it in savings and put it towards your card. That is how you get rid of debt. And I cannot emphasize this enough. If you want to put your debt down, stop buying things with it. You don't need it. And that's really the crux of the issue. You just have to stop giving into it. You don't need those things. It is not worth your time. It is not worth your money. And sadly, people see it as, oh, well, I have the money. Think of it as you are trading for your time. Because for every hour that you have to work to pay back all of these dollars, that is time that you don't get to spend doing the things that you care about. So stop trading your time, your precious time that you don't get back. You can't just go and get more time. You can't go to the bank and pull more time out and be like, yeah, I want an extra decade because I didn't like that last one. Like, you can make more money, but you can't get that time back.
You really just you're defeating yourself. Like, humans are really their own worst enemy. And trust me, I've had that payday loan situation myself, so I already know how vicious that is. You're trying to play catch up, and you think that by doing this, it's going to take you over the top, and then it's going to actually propel you to do things that you couldn't do before, but it don't work like that. It don't. You got to be very mindful of what you buy, how much you spend. Is it worth buying? Is it worth investing in? That goes for people, places, all that. Travel expenses, habits, whether or not you drink or smoke. Any expense that you don't need, you need to go ahead and drop those immediately. If you have the attitude of someone who is institutionalized with where they grew up. So that's all you know, and you refuse to see anything else. You're defeating yourself. You're putting the wall there that you can't get over. And then you build this anger and this contention within yourself because you know that you should do more and you could do more, but you've allowed the lies to force you into destitution, spiritual
slavery, indentured servitude.
Exactly. I never understood the poor man's mindset thing. It was broken down to me. And like when you really think about how some people become successful, how they actually make it, just a combination of things. We don't utilize every avenue that's presented to us. We want shortcuts, or we refuse to come out of the way that we think straight up.
People people also would rather give, like, they don't want to give up the present to sacrifice for the future. A lot of people don't. If you ask most people, like, let's say you gave somebody $20. If somebody got a free $20, the first thing they're going to do is, what can I buy with this? But somebody that has a rich man's mindset is going to say, all right, where can I invest this? Where can I put this so I have it for later? Where can I put this so I can make gains on it? Where can I get this so it makes more for me than just this $20? And it's sad that a lot of people don't even consider that there's more options than just spending your money. Like, I don't know if anyone has ever watched Caleb Hammer on YouTube, but he does financial audits of people that are in, I mean, most of them are in very hopeless situations. They put themselves into tremendous debt. They have all sorts of issues with their car, their house, everything. Some of these people have no savings whatsoever. They've never opened a savings account. They didn't even know that they should save. They didn't know that they should be investing. And then there's also the category of people now that are the doom spenders that are just like, well, we're all screwed anyway, so who cares? Like, what future am I saving up for? I'm not going to put my money away because I'm just going to spend it now because we don't know if we have tomorrow. But obviously, while I can understand that mindset with my obsession with disasters and everything, I can't adhere to that because that's going under the assumption that everything is going to get destroyed. What if you're wrong? What if things do continue, or things might change? But what if the world goes on and you basically screwed yourself? And you're going to look back and be like, oh man, I really should have done something. And that's what a lot of people are finding out. We have record numbers of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s even that are getting to retirement age going, oh, I can't live off what I have. I can't afford the place I've been living in for the past 20 years. I'm now going to have to go back to work or get a roommate or move in with my kids or something because the money that they made is not enough in the society that we live in anymore. And so I think that's another danger, is that people's spending habits isn't changing with the financial climate. We're coming into a time when money is not worth as much as it used to be. Products are not as valuable as they used to be, as well made as they used to be. And so we have to be much more selective of how we spend our money. But people mistake the abundance with, well, then I can just spend all the money I want because I can just get whatever I want. Like, I don't have to think about it. And then also the fact that everything is so much cheaper it's a lot easier to overspend because you could be like, oh, well, I'm just getting 10 $5 shirts, but they wouldn't dream of spending $50 for one shirt, but they're still spending the same amount of money. And so a lot of it has to do with our perception of goods and what they're worth, what the value is. As I mentioned, like if it has a label on it, people are willing to spend endless amounts of money on it because they're like, oh, well, everyone else has one. This celebrity has it, so I have to get one. And we don't really recognize what value actually means nowadays. Like you had people in the 1930s that would literally give away their children so they could afford to buy grain for their other younger kids. Or you would have people that were like selling their shares in their house so they could buy a shovel. We don't really understand value anymore and what are true essentials. And we basically outsource everything to everyone else, forcing us to spend even more money. Like nobody has skills anymore. We don't know how to fix furniture. We don't know how to fix electronics, our own cars. Even like if your ring broke, you would know how to fix it. If your clothes broke, you would know how to mend them. And we, in that way, end up spending even more money because then you have to take it to a repair technician, somebody that evaluates it. And then we already know how they gouge you with cars and dealerships and warranties and all that stuff. So we're putting ourselves into a trap where we're endlessly spending money, and it's almost second nature now. Like I bet people across the board have at least 5 subscriptions to stuff. So that's already like $20, $30, $40 being taken out every single month. And that's if you're doing the cheaper ones. Like some of the premium ones could be like for Amazon, it's like $170. For Costco, it's $160. Some people do like DoorDash and Green Lights or whatever it's called, Fresh Foods, whatever. Like all, and some people chronically use Uber. Some people chronically eat out. Some people like have never cooked at home a day in their life. So there's so many things that are chipping away our collective budgets, and a lot of it has to do with helplessness, learned helplessness. We are gradually becoming useless to ourselves.
It's something that bothers me about an influencer who gets on camera and then starts to show off and flaunt their lifestyle. Something really bothers me about it. It's not the fact that they can do it. I mean, congratulations. You, for the most part, probably earned it. That's not the issue. The issue is when you do this, there's no disclaimers. Like when you go to buy a pack of cigarettes, the Surgeon General tells you what's the likelihood of entertaining these Newports. You don't get a disclaimer when one of these men or these women get up here on this camera and they start singing one of their famous songs, or they shoot a Reebok or a Nike commercial. You don't see them saying, all right, you see me with $3,000-$4,000 worth of clothing on top of the $70,000-$80,000 worth of jewelry. But here's the Surgeon General warning. All people see is this. And they looking at it like, all right, I probably can't do what they're doing, but I can do it on my budget. That's what bothers me. And they know it. In my honest opinion, them people know what they're doing. And so, like, if you're not even going to say nothing, and then have people continuously go out there with the shop and buy these bags and these eyelashes and this makeup. It's one thing if you're building a legacy, it's something to leave behind. It's another thing when you're just wasting away, doing nothing with your hands. You ain't applying your brain or your intellect to nothing. All you care about is your appearance and how you look to the rest of to the world. And then again, I go back to what I said: you're miserable, you're bitter, you want what they got.
You aren't grateful for what you do have.
That's another thing. You don't really understand what you say. They don't understand the value. You really don't, because what you have might be just as valuable as what they have, if not more.
Frankly, time with family, like the love from children and relatives and friends, is worth more to me than a bag would be.
Man, I give anything to have my loved ones back. I'm trying to tell you. I come across these nostalgic videos. They be having that sad music playing, and then the VH tapes be showing you old high school kids and the classroom and at the cafeteria with the boombox from the 80s and 90s, and I'm looking at them videos like, damn, man, that's time lost. It was simpler. You didn't have the same pressure.
That's why I always, like, people always think I'm nuts because I'm always like, I wish I lived in the past. Like, I mean, of course, the idea of like it's easier to get sick, easier to get hurt, less amenities and stuff like that. But just the simpleness, just being able to go back to a time where I wasn't bombarded by 1,000 advertisements by a bunch of people that I know are polluting the planet, destroying everything, and then being on the news and hearing the news and all the fake stuff everywhere and the celebrities and all, like, it's too much.
For real. It took me a long time to get out of that attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I would buy stuff that I shouldn't buy. I still gotta have, to a degree. I'm not as bad as I was. I was a chronic shopper.
There's a term that kind of applies to that, what you're talking about, which it can go either way, but lifestyle creep, where people start off with not as much, but then as they make more money, they start to buy more things and more expensive things because they're basically like, oh, well, I have more money, so I can spend more things. And so that's another aspect of the poor man's mindset, is believing that your spending should be going up with your income. But what they don't realize is you should be decreasing your spending even as your income goes up, because then you can use that to invest in other things. So you're still, you're not spending as much, but you're still spending it in a way because it's going into your future. If that makes sense.
No, I get it. So my paycheck went from, if I got a $2 raise, then that's a couple more dollars that I could put in my savings account. If you got stock, like for me, I'm trying to get more into stocks. So I'll take that little extra and I'll slide it over here. And I'll try not to touch that. But the more money people make, it's like, all right, well, dang, I just got an extra such and such. That means that I can buy such and such and such and such and still have. And then you end up back at the drawing board. As soon as the money come in, it's gone. Or you want a certain type of lifestyle, but you continuously deal in the habits that don't get you anywhere.
You seek a specific lifestyle, but you don't have the right setup to support that lifestyle.
Exactly.
I heard an influencer this morning. She's the one that does stuff on overconsumption and stuff like that. She was talking about how another thing with this is like people are, oh, I'm just treating myself, like, oh, I'm just giving myself something nice, you know, like a little coffee here and some candy there, and just a little purchase. But she was saying, like, it adds up. Like, if you have, oh, just a treat on Friday, it becomes, oh, every other day, and then it becomes every day, and then it becomes every other. Like, some people, that's how addiction can kind of creep into your life. You start to get accustomed to having, like, once a day is the norm, and so then you're like, oh, what's one more? And then you start building on that, and getting more comfortable with having more and more and more. That's often the pattern with hoarders. Like, there are some circumstances where people buy, like there was this hoarder where she literally bought a lot, like an eBay lot of stuff. So it was literally like 2 truckloads of just people's stuff that they didn't want got delivered to her house. But most people aren't like that. Most people accumulate their hoard over decades. And so I always think that hoarding is the perfect visualization for overconsumption, because it's basically as if all of us have how we spend if we never got rid of any of it. Like, I know a lot of these girls will buy a bag, they'll rent a bag, or they'll buy the bag and then trade it in for the next one or whatever. But imagine if everything you ever bought in your life stayed in your house and never left. And that, like, it's kind of crazy to think about how much stuff we would have in our homes if we did that. If you ask somebody in 1901 to show you everything they've ever had in their life, it would probably fit in a single room.
I found one of my lunch boxes from like 3rd, 4th grade. I didn't even think I still had that, but you know, I'm not mad at it at all, because it's one of the few things that I got from my pops. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a picture type of person, so like, I don't think I've ever been in a hoarder's house. I know people who like to collect stuff and they have a hard time getting rid of it, but nothing to where I'm walking on bodies and stuff like that now.
I've been in 2. I've had some issues with hoarding in my life, but it never got to like the level 4 or 5 hoarders where there's just like shit everywhere. But I have been in those before. I've been in a level 3 to 4 hoard and a level 5 hoard, which is like more like most of the rooms are blocked. You can't really get in them. My biological dad, his house was like hoarded out to the point that, like, I'm not even kidding, the stacks of stuff went up to like where that top shelf is, and sometimes even higher. And the whole living room, like, there was the couch, but the whole living room was just filled with stuff that high, like boxes and bags and piled up everywhere. The room was disgusting. They had 4 dogs, and some of them weren't potty trained, and they had rugs on the floor that were like the dirtiest rugs I've ever seen. Like, they might as well have been outside. And there was just stuff everywhere. Like, the corridor through their living room was about this big. And they kept telling me, like, you might want to walk sideways, otherwise you might knock stuff down on the piles. And I'm like, I stayed in there one day. I was supposed to stay for the whole weekend, but I was like, I can't do this. There was literally, I'm not even kidding, in their bathroom, there was a hole in the wall to the outside of the house. And the only thing blocking the hole was a shower curtain that they taped over it. Like, and then there were like cockroaches everywhere, and they would crawl over me when I was sleeping. And I was like, at 3 a.m, I'm like, I'm not doing this another night. I'm leaving in the morning.
Oh yeah, it would have been a wrap. I wouldn't have been able to do that either. I ain't gonna hold you.
And he kept trying to give me stuff too of it. Like, he's like, yeah, here, take the. He tried to give me his dog. He tried to give me like shirts and clothes for my kids, and I'm like, I'm good. I really don't want any of that.
Hey, well, he was trying to get rid of some of that stuff, I guess.
He was trying to offload. That's something with hoarders, is that they have a really hard time giving things away and getting rid of things, because especially for ones that hold on to things because, oh, well, it's useful, or oh, well, it's special. One of the ways they'll deflect those feelings is they'll pass them on to a relative, because they know they're just holding it for later, because they can basically go back to that relative if they ever have regret and are like, oh, I want that object. They can always go back to the relative and be like, hey, can I have that back? And so for hoarders, that's a way to kind of delay their decision making and give things away and get it out of the house. Visually looks like they're not collecting, but in their mind, it's still theirs. It still belongs to them. So that is very common with hoarders, is they'll literally buy things for loved ones in excess and just like, here, take it all. Like, I want you to have this. And every time you come over, they'll be like, here's the, like, my husband's grandmother does that. She just sends us boxes of random stuff. Like, it doesn't even have rhyme or reason. Like, the last time we got like candlesticks and like a doll for a kid, and then like some random little brass cups and stuff. So it's no rhyme or reason. They're just like, here, I collected them.
I get candles. Candles are useful. You can do stuff with candles. The thing that kind of creeped me out about hoarders is I don't know what type of spiritual connections a lot of that stuff has to the things that they're holding on to. And I don't want to invite that into my house. Some stuff might have negative energy on it, like we really don't know.
And it has an effect on your psychology. Being like living in a home like that affects your ability to pay attention to things. It affects your organization habits. It affects your hygiene. It affects your mobility. It even can cause problems like depression and anxiety and anger and all these other problems, because the brain is overloaded. When you're surrounded by that much stuff, your brain cannot process everything, and it gets overwhelmed. It's like the same thing that happens to people when they go to like entertainment parks and stuff like that, like Disneyland and whatever. Like after the full day, you're zoned out. Like your eyes are staring straight ahead. You're not really focusing on anything. People try and talk to you, and you're like, huh? What? Like, because your brain starts to tune out things once it gets overstimulated and overwhelmed. That's a huge component of what causes ADHD, is that we are so overstimulated in our brains that we can't focus on anything outside of our brains. And that's what happens with hoarders, is they have so much stuff in their house, and so many, like, a lot of it is because it's like to-do list. Oh, I'm saving that to fix it. Oh, I'm saving that to use it for this. Oh, I'm saving that to give it to this person. But they never do. They never get to it. And it's to me very similar to this whole financial situation, except in the reverse. Like, they don't realize. I mean, I guess it's kind of not in the reverse. Some people don't the debt creeps up on them in the same way that the stuff creeps on these hoarders. And often they go hand in hand. Like a lot of these people that are hoarders are also deeply in debt. A lot of them lose their homes to foreclosure because they don't make payments on them. A lot of them get evicted, and that causes more financial problems. Some people even have been charged with crimes because of their hoarding. My mom's neighbor behind her is a hoarder, and it got to the point where his stuff started to push down her fence because it was all like leaning up in the backyard. And he refused to let police like in his backyard to see everything, but they finally like got drone footage, and it was just filled, boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff all over the yard. There was literally no room in the yard, and they threatened to give him fines until he complied every single day. So these issues can be incredibly life altering to somebody that is experiencing it. And it's the same thing with financial literacy, financial damage, the stuff that you choose to do. That can make your life way more complicated than it needs to be. And the thing that people don't consider is being in debt makes you have to pay more over time. Like, not just because of the interest and whatever, but when you are paying off large amounts of debt, you have less money to go towards other things. Your credit cards are probably going to be maxed out. You might not have any money in your debit card. And so you're going to have moments where, oh, I can't pay to fix my car, or, oh, I can't afford to pay for my full phone bill, or, oh, no, I don't know if I can pay for gas. And so you're put into more and more situations that risk having to spend money to make money. And that is what puts people in the situation they need payday loans and they need to take out more credit because they haven't figured out how to reverse yet, like how to start whittling away at the debt and increasing their savings. Because I think another aspect to that too is that people think they're kind of separate, where you pay off the debt and then you start saving and then you start investing, but it really needs to be together. You should be putting money towards the debt, putting money towards savings, and putting money towards investments, and then the rest you're spending money. And that will help you secure a future, because then you're not just putting all of your money in debt and basically like get you to a zero balance. Like, you don't want to get yourself to a zero balance when you're done paying off the debt. You want to have savings when you're done paying off the debt, because then you're even ahead. And so, yeah, people really have to start recognizing that, one, debt accumulation and debt payoff is a habit. It needs to be a habit, because if saving money and investing your money is not a habit, thinking about your money patterns is not a habit, then spending money and going into debt will become the habit.
I honestly think it's an excuse to just stay stuck
and comfortable.
Everybody's given the same. Well, all right, let me rephrase that. Everybody has the opportunity to make something out of nothing. Sure, one person might have had an advantage over you. That doesn't negate the fact that you still can achieve something if you want to. The way I'm looking at it is, I ain't going to never be nothing, so I might as well just go ahead and waste away and just do all of this, because I ain't going to ever have that, and I ain't going to never have that, so I might as well just settle here where I'm at. I think a lot of people think like that.
You also have to really identify what's important to you, because I think that's another thing, is that people don't have direction. They don't really know what they want. They're just kind of going with what the trends are, and so they don't really have a sense of self within their decor, within their clothing, and so they're basically just buying what everyone else is getting, and that also puts you into a cycle. Because if you are buying things based on what you specifically like, I like this thing and I'm going to be using this thing for this particular purpose. I'm going to be, I really enjoy this one specific object or hobby or book or whatever, then that's enhancing your life. But a lot of people are like, oh, that influencer just bought this suit from this store, so I bought the whole set of clothes so I can look like them. If you focus on yourself and what you specifically need, there will be an end point. There will be a moment when you're like, cool, I'm content. I have everything that I've wanted and I can just live my life, like experience. And maybe I might have to replace things now and then. Maybe I do see something else I can add to my collection once in a while, but you're not going to be out seeking. That's the difference. Like there's a difference between buying things, replacing things, and like seeking things out. There are people that troll the internet looking for deals, looking for what they can buy, looking at perfumes and makeup and what everyone else is wearing and what everyone else is buying and what the celebrities have and what's the latest gadget and blah blah blah. It's endless. Like everyone has their thing, but a lot of people allow that to kind of go out of control. And it's for appearances. It's for your own like self-satisfaction and like I'm just like them, so I'm just as good as them. And that's not how it works. And it's much more relaxing to, and this is from personal experience, it's much more relaxing to dress and exist as yourself rather than somebody else. In high school, I went through that. And even in college, I went through that where I didn't follow my identity. I was trying so hard to get everyone else's favor that I was going with what everyone else was interested in watching, what everyone else was wearing, what was popular, what would get people to look at me and notice me and whatever. And that was my unhappiest time period. The times that I was overspending and didn't know who I was and was buying things just for the sake of like creating the life I imagined in my head. Most of those objects I never kept. Most of those objects never brought me any joy. I got it. I had a brief moment of like, cool, I have it now. And then that was it. Never used it again. It just became a projectile for my kids to play with one day. And it never made me actually happier. The only things I've ever bought that genuinely made me happier were the things that actually allow me to do what I love, like books and my laptop, and I do like stuffed animals. But when people get in the habit of just buying whatever's in style, there is no limitation to what they will buy because we all know how the industry is. There's always going to be something new. They have 52 seasons a year. So there's always going to be things to buy. And just because it's discounted does not mean you have to buy it. That is such a common thing that I hear where these influencers get back from TJ Maxx and Marshalls and they're like, I got this entire set of 90 dishes because they were only $5. Like, but did you really need like
Yeah, I agree. If you ain't really got your own identity in this world, you screwed. And I say that from a loving place. Figure out what you want, how bad you want it, and if it's worth it. I don't think anything is too late. But it depends on you. I can sit up here and tell you go forward and all that, but the way that you're probably set up, you don't even worry about that. You're just trying to get from day to day. I'm trying to beat the odds. I'm trying to make some things happen. I'm not limiting myself, and I'm not about to get in my own way like I used to. Every time I look around me, I'm like, man, I don't want to be one of them people that stay here. They get stuck. I don't want you looking at me driving by and I'm standing in front of the liquor store. I've seen at least 2 generations do it. And it's not a joke. It ain't funny.
They did it in the 1920s too. That's part of what caused the Depression.
I believe it. You got to get out that way of thinking.
I also I want to add. First of all, one of the things that you said. Another quote that I really like is, "It's only too late when you decide to give up, when you resign to the situation." And I think that's kind of what the doom spending, where they've chosen to give up. They've chosen to, like, well, F it, whatever. I'm not going to focus on my finances. I'm just going to live my life and do whatever. But there also is the flip side of extreme sparseness. I forgot what the word is. There's a term for when you're like, there's minimalism, and then there's Spartanism. That's what it is. Where you don't buy anything. And while this lifestyle can work for people, there are definitely individuals that do well with a Spartan lifestyle. They don't need a lot of stuff. They want to be on the go or whatever. Like, they don't want things to distract them. It does not work for a lot of people. And another cycle that people can get into is the buy and get rid of cycle, where they buy a bunch of stuff and have it in their house, and then they realize that they don't want all this stuff, so then they donate it. But then they replace all that stuff they got rid of with new stuff that they end up again not wanting. That kind of goes along with not knowing yourself, not knowing what works for you. Because if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what you like, if you don't know what you want, you're going to constantly be buying things that are not a good fit for you. Because it's once you know yourself, it's very easy to go to the store and be like tempted by something and be like, I want that. And then you touch it, you're like, oh no, I don't like the fabric. This doesn't work on me. Or, oh, this fabric makes me feel hot or itchy or whatever. This food makes me feel sick. Like, you want to know yourself, so you're not just buying whatever. And people that I found myself in that cycle for a period of time where I was just buying stuff because I was changing up and going through different interests. And I was like collecting all shark stuff, and then I was collecting all flamingo stuff. And I wanted to just, I couldn't decide. I couldn't make up my mind. And so I was like buying things and getting rid of them, and then buying more stuff and getting rid of it. And so even though I wasn't like technically hoarding, like I wasn't keeping all this stuff, it was still overconsumption. And it still was damaging to my finances. So that's another thing that people have to be wary of, is even if your house is filling up with stuff, you could still very well be over-consuming. You don't even have to over-consume stuff. You could be over-consuming on food, buying only food that you eat out at, and like eating food all the time that's like $50 a plate, $70, $100 a meal. So there's a lot of inconspicuous ways that you could also be overspending without realizing it. And gambling is just a whole other story, but also a component to this whole situation.
They ain't ready for that.
I would get an own podcast, own episode.
For real. A lot of people need to wake up, including myself. I was that person, and I'll tell you, it does make me
also been, really, unless you were like, you grew up poor, and I mean, even then, like, some of them bounce back and like get a job, and they're like overspending because they're like, well, I didn't have it as a kid. But I really think everyone has gone through this phase. It's just some people are less lucky with their income than others.
How how many generations are going to repeat the same cycle? That's yet to be debated. I've counted a few, and it didn't end well.
Speaking of that too, I've heard a lot of our age, like people born between like 80s, 90s, 2000s or so, are expecting that their parents or relatives are going to be passing down a wealth to them basically when the parents pass on. But they've been finding discrepancies where, like, I think it's like 70 or 80%, like 83% of those generations believe that they're going to be passed down to something, but only about 43% of the older generations say they have anything to even pass down to their children. And so I think that's another component where they're spending expecting future money, and that's not going to be coming. And so then they're like, wait, so I just accrued this $5,000 debt and I'm not going to be getting any money? Oops.
Oh, don't get it twisted. Everybody ain't getting something. And people just get questioning me like, why you ain't say this or why you ain't say that when such. Look, I would prefer the person still be here. I don't really care about that. Mostly because I'm going to make sure that I take care of myself regardless. If they had something that they wanted me to have, I'd have it. But like to me, that's not what's really important. All that stuff is going to still be here even after I'm gone. So like, that don't really make a difference to me. But I ain't boxed in. Find your identity. Ask yourself why you decided to stay stuck and stagnant. And maybe there's some hope for you to come out of that, man. Because I, to be honest with you, I don't want to see anyone in that type of mood. You know, I think everybody is talented at something, and if you can escape the matrix, go ahead and walk through that door. I'm just being optimistic though. But yeah, we about to get up out of here. Thank you for pulling up and indulging me with this one.
I have a poem if you want.
You can close out with that. I have no problem with that. You hold up. Give me the solo.
What's up? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this one is called Shopaholic. I thought it was very fitting for the conversation. We see you there, winking, staring intently, begging unrelentingly, asking discontentedly to interact so gently, your sexy little square filling with your taste as you feed the need to waste, as your timers trigger haste, with every click, poisoning our knack for nicks, with mistaken slips of our fingertips, fueling self-fulfilling trips, stocking up for kicks, revisiting each glowing front to see what changed, poke to rearrange, prod to disengage, weighing 100 goods bathed promisingly in white lights, laced with intoxicant faces on drugged-up hunts, on the run for fun. We let ourselves get pulled in to the screen, to the sin, to renew ourselves, to arrest our lech, to buy afresh. Eyes glued, painful pupils stitched like tacky spider webs. We stick to purposeful glitches. We stay connected and addicted to devils and demons demure, tight and secure. Pupils dilated, mind obscured. We stay indebted, we stay embedded in a life of belonging, in a life of faux longing. In a character flaw features show, unspoken theologies, private insecurities, highlighted peculiarities, passion baked activities when you replace veins of your truth with idols of youth, with vices and roots, with favors from fruits, tables of ruthless pirates ruling the roost. You sell yourself for wealth. You buy your mind, false pride. Love lies, more weight on your thighs. Your lot is your load, free your abode. Fund not your enemies with your space. Instead, you must place your trust in your grace. It's time that you leave the race. We must feature the search and seizure of our original values and reasons. Reject the seasonal treason. Respect the trees and terrene. Bury the trenches they seek to deepen with lying and buying to solve, dollars to dissolve, problems designed into the walls, faking their resolve to revolve their ethics around authenticity, funding the tactics that time just absolves, melting down crimes into tangible assets, secretly shifting societal facets. Greed feeds greed, meaning and need. Where are the real leaders we seek? Instead, we are left aimlessly seeking esteem in the fumbling lights of dystopia's gleam. Laurel wreaths atop graves of the YOLO elites, leeching their preaching beyond graves onto screens, stealing our ownership ways through our own acquisition, through our deep inhibition, through our antique disposition for the urge for collection, to show off for connection. Humans will yearn for recollection. Humans will yearn for need and possession. We must release ourselves from obsession, accept the need to fit in without the credit hit ping. For capitalists and their tricks will tempt you until you end your mortal trip. A lot of rhyme on that one. Tongue twisters.
Boom, boom. Exceptional way to close out the show.
Thank you.
I knew you was clipped up. Salute to you.
I love my financial poems.
Hey, I'm not mad at them at all. I'm gonna get back in my bag. I'm gonna have to write something here. Boom. Yeah. Shout outs. We about to get about
You brought this up earlier about something that you got from your grandfather, and I just because I had it here, I was like, "This is the first book that I wrote back in 2003."
Hey, that's dope.
Yeah, it has chapters and everything.
You filled them pages up. Okay. I ain't mad at it. Document and keep everything. I'm not talking about the stuff that can go, but the stuff that really matters. Yeah, hold on to that.
This stuff means something, not Louis Vuitton.
I feel you. But I'm gonna let you up off here, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right.
To everybody who pulled up, I appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Y'all take it easy.
All right.
Blessed. And do me a solid.
What's the goddamn button?
Yeah.